She is Celeigh Cardinal. I'm Terrydavidmulligan, and this is Mulligan Stew, CKUA Radio, the Mulligan Stew podcast, and the Terrydavidmulligan YouTube channel. My apologies for having to load you with that. However, you have to put a name on each of the shows, and there you go.
Mm.
I can apologize right now for when I first saw your name come by me when you were at CKUA of mispronouncing it. And more importantly, because nobody ever told me, and I didn't. And then I have friends, Cardinal friends, down especially on Vancouver Island, and that whole family, that whole generational thing, are Cardinals. So I had to retrain to Cardinal. I came across a story just this morning of a young student who is trying to save and reteach the Métis language. Is it disappearing? Is it going? Is it in the possibility of disappearing?
I think so, because I have never. I mean, I've maybe heard somebody speaking Michif in like passing, but I've never spoken it. I don't know a single word. Like, I definitely know a little bit of Cree, but yeah, I would imagine that is a language that needs to be.
It has to come from the elders, but of course, a whole nother generation has to say, we have to save this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's happening in another regions, so I just thought that I'd get an answer on that. But we're here to talk about your album. Congratulations on the drop of your album last night. You played on the 21st. Where did you play last night?
Played at the Varscona Theater in Edmonton.
Was that one of your favorite stages? You just like the room?
You know, I do like the room. It's definitely a smaller space. I think the capacity is like 180 people. But it's quite close to where I live, so it's convenient, but it's also it's just a very comfortable theater. And everybody who comes to my shows in Edmonton, they're basically all my friends and family at this point. And there are a lot of people that like, I've developed a fan base in Edmonton, but it's been happening for so long now that I basically know all of them. So it's like, it is an intimate performance every time I play in Edmonton.
Were they ready for the new music?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've been playing a few of these songs for a few years now, because some of the songs that I wrote with the brothers Landreth, we wrote those back in 2019. And this album was initially supposed to come out in 2020. So some of the music I've had I've been sitting on for a while. And so I've had a lot of requests for songs like Light of the Moon. People have asked me, when is it coming out? And they asked me that back in 2021. And I said, hopefully soon. And now finally, here we are.
Can I ask you a very big, direct question?
Yeah.
Are you happy? Have you found happiness?
Great question. I think that I am generally quite happy. I have created a life where I call all of the shots. I work for myself. I work when I want. I have a lot of plants. I have a dog. I have a 21-year-old son who lives in my basement. I am living the life that I always wanted to live. So I have a happiness that I don't think that I had when I was much younger.
You know why I asked that question? Thank you for that answer. Simply because the lyrics and the songs that you're presenting to us from the new album, there's pain, there's loss.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's self analyzing your own self. You're writing about yourself to yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yes, this is true. And you know, the album was supposed to come out in 2020, like I mentioned, but everything went on pause in 2020, and then I went through some. It was a roller coaster of a year. It was a difficult time for everybody, but I had some great losses in 2020 that really, it changed me forever, truly. Like, I'm a different person now. And I think that people living with grief can also be happy because you find joy in so much of the day to day. You appreciate your relationships so much more. You treasure the time that you have with the people that are around your family.
Yeah.
So I think in a way it's like the darker things become, the more light you see at the same time.
I have something that attracts me to the last song on an album. I think it is the message that the artist and the writer said, okay, I've done all of that, all of the 11 of the other subjects and whatever. This is my song. And it's your statement. Your song is The Only Way Out.
Yeah.
It's I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it.
You know, that
and I wrote down very personal. It's you and a guitar. Your only way out, my only way out, our only way out is through going through this. It does make sense.
You know, it was there, some of the songs on the album, you know, we worked on, I worked with other people. This was a song that I sat down and wrote sort of front to back. It just sort of poured out of me. And this was a song that I wrote about my son's father. And I've never been able to sing it all the way through, except for this one demo that I recorded on my phone. And that is the version that is on the album.
You use that vocal?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why the guitar isn't perfect, because I usually hire people to play guitar for me. But I was just sitting, I had finished writing it and I just recorded it all the way through. And that's the version that we ended up having to use. I tried to record it a few more times, but I cry every time I sing it. So that song is deeply personal. And yeah, it's definitely full of grief.
I read that he was murdered. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was my son's father. We were together when I was 19 years old till I was 23, and that's when I had my son. And he was you know, one of the most amazing people. He had the most amazing heart, but he had such a hard life, and we couldn't be together anymore. It just couldn't happen. He was an addict. He had lots of issues. I had to keep my son safe, but he was just medicating the issues. He was just medicating the pain that he had. And then the rest of his life was painful. And when he was murdered, there was this like sense of, because he didn't have to live with that pain anymore, I was like, in a way that there was a sense of relief, but it was so traumatic, his death. And so it took years to recover from that, for sure. Still recovering from that.
How so many questions.
Yeah.
I Want to Mean It, part 1 and 2, another friend who passed away in 2020. That was a hell of a year for you. It's a 2-part.
Yeah.
Are you writing to her, to us, or yourself? Who's the message for?
You know, the last thing that she ever said to me was that she would forever be asking me to write a song about her. And so I knew that I wanted to write a song. We had a complicated history. So it was difficult because I basically like had to apologize to her the last time that I saw her. And she gave me forgiveness. And then she passed away 2 weeks later. And so this song is like, it's about saying sorry or not saying sorry, but like really meaning it when you say it. And the first part of the song it's the story of our history. The second part of the song is actually a dream that I had, but I've also been told that it was a visit, because the day after she passed away, that evening, I had a dream where I was living at the time at these apartments in downtown Edmonton. Yeah. And my dream was that my kitchen light came on. She came and sat down on the side of the bed and we talked. And then she went away and the lights went out. And in this dream, There there was this one thing that happened. She lit up a joint in this dream. Now, this woman had children. She was walking the red road. Uh, I hadn't known her to smoke weed ever. And then after the dream, I told her husband about it, and he told me that she had just recently started smoking marijuana to help her get off of depression medication right before she passed away. So this dream is so much more to me,
Yeah.
and I wanted this half of the song to sort of represent it. So the drums come in, it's supposed to have the soundscape of a dream, and then she is the violin, and her family is the string section. And
Nice.
this song is a conversation that we're having, because in my dream, it and this goes, you know, a little hokey, I guess, but in my dream, her family and ancestors brought her to me so that she could speak to me.
Yeah.
So they were part of this too. And so I just wanted to reflect that conversation with the strings and with the vocals. Yeah. So it's big. Yeah.
And there's a symphony in your future, I believe, if you can get the charts done.
Yeah.
It's your third album, Boundless Possibilities, came out yesterday, June 21st. We'll give you some dates in a minute. I want to ask you about your relationship with the Brothers Landreth, because the Brothers Landreth that you were writing that first single with, that was on Birthday Cake,
Mhm.
and then the two on this album, which are You Made It Look Easy, right?
You make it look
And
easy.
over and over.
And over and over. Light of the Moon is actually it's on this album as well, and that's not the one that was released with Birthday Cake.
Yeah.
With Birthday Cake, I did kind of a pop single, and we were just sort of like, I guess we were kind of dating at that point. And then I decided I did want to self-release the album. You know, I like working on my own with a small team. I'm a little bit of a control freak, just like
Yeah.
a tiny,
Yeah.
tiny, tiny little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I wanted to do that. That was the initial plan anyways, was to do it on
It's
my
your
own.
life.
Yeah.
You're the one that has to live it.
That's
You
right.
made it through easy. You made it look easy. What year did you write and record those with the brothers?
So I recorded or we wrote all of the we wrote You Make It Look Easy over and over and Light of the Moon in 2019.
So this is pre-Bonnie.
Yes.
And then
Right?
all of a sudden,
Yes.
Bonnie says their name on the Grammys, and everything changes.
Mm.
And everybody wants a Brothers Landreth song. You have a pocket full.
I know, I'm sitting on them. Yep. Yeah, I know. I feel really lucky, and it was an incredible week. I did kind of like a little songwriting tour, and I spent a week in Winnipeg, and the first 4 days were amazing, and the fifth day we were all sick, or maybe just Joey and I were so sick. We either got food poisoning or some kind of bug, and so I ended up having to just stay in my Airbnb for a couple of extra days because I was so sick. So we initially were going to have do another song together, but we just never got around to it.
By the way, while I'm at this juncture, I just want to congratulate you on Earthy Days,
Mm,
the fretless song you did. Love it. Love it.
yeah.
Play it.
I
Love
mean,
it. Love it. Love it.
I feel so lucky that like they asked me to sing that because it's not my song and it's such an amazing song. William Prince is so ridiculously good. So yeah, that was awesome.
Where did You and I come from?
Um, I think it was like one of the very last songs that I wrote for this
A nice,
album.
nice change of pace.
Thank you. Well, I mean, my roots are like more sort of bluesy, and I that song for me was just I was sitting down with my keyboard player, who's also my musical director, and like one of my best friends. We would go and spend like a week at a cabin, and just write, just spend this week writing. We usually try to make sure it had a hot tub in it, and we would just like make food and just have these little writing retreats. And this was one of our last ones. And I said, I want something that has that, like, I want this album to encompass all that is me. And we kind of flip through genres quite a bit in this album. But I wanted this song. I wanted this song to be
Okay.
on the album.
Okay. I don't have enough time to do every track because I made notes about
Totally.
every freaking track. From the Moon to the River.
Mhm,
Matthew Cardinal created this.
mhm.
Is that the Matthew Cardinal from? Hold on a second. Please hold. From Wayfindings and Know Who You
Yeah,
Are?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
No relation.
No, no relation that we know of. We met in 2018 at an Indigenous music residency in
Cool.
Manitoba, and happened to live in the same city. And I wanted this album to have sort of like ethereal, spacey sort of soundscape. And
I love from the Moon to the River. I love that. I especially love Wandering River. The story behind it. You're from there's a song about a place south of Fort McMurray. What was it called?
Wandering River. Yeah.
Was it a pub? What was it?
So I used to go to Fort McMurray, and I used to play at the Black Horse pub.
Yeah.
And on my way, I would always see a sign for this little town, Wandering River, and I never knew what it was. But it was this time in my life when I was like playing music just on the weekends. I was working a full-time job. I'm a single mom, and life was really hard, but I wanted to play music no matter what. And so I'd take any opportunity that I could. And this sign for Wandering River was this like mythical place that was, just a place where I could stop, rest. And sometimes I thought about turning around and just giving up.
But you kept going.
But I kept going.
But you kept going.
Yeah.
That shows up actually in a lot of the music here. I want to go back to the one of the co-writes with the brothers.
Mm.
Make It Look Easy. The song describes some of the difficulties I faced being an Indigenous single mother, trying to navigate the music industry. The last line that you comment is, "It's the feeling of being disposable."
Mm.
Did that go away?
I don't think so.
Jesus.
I don't think so. And I mean, I feel like everybody feels like a bit of a novelty or a commodity in their own way when we're constantly selling ourselves. I'm selling myself on social media. I'm trying to sell my music to you. I'm trying to sell me. And I had to like really dig for the purpose behind it in order to do it and feel good about continuing to do it. But I mean, especially as an Indigenous woman in Canada, or really like around the world, we we do feel disposable. We feel like people don't care whether we live or die. Like it's missing and murdered Indigenous women is a real issue. So that doesn't really go away, you know?
Does it help that your voice is their voice? You speak out for them, you sing about them?
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? That's part of the purpose. It's like when I was, 11 years old and started writing songs and wanted to be a singer, and looking at media magazines and seeing very white people with blonde hair, skinny. I didn't look anything like them. You know, Part of my purpose is to continue doing what I do because I want little girls who look like me to see themselves. I want them to think, yeah, I can do that. She's doing it. I can do
You described it, just let me lie to you, as an adventure in dating.
that. Yeah. Yeah, just let me lie to you. It was a very specific story. I was a very nice person that I dated, but I wasn't ready to date, and he wanted to keep going, and I knew that if I just kept going, he would be happy, but I would be very unhappy. So, yeah, kind of sums it all up.
Have you gathered musicians for a band?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my band has always evolved over the
Okay.
years. I've played in trios, duos, it's constantly changing.
You may find yourself doing solo shows from time to time, which would be cool. Are you going to tell these stories in between the songs, or just let the songs be themselves?
A lot of these songs, I do tell the stories. I think that the ratio of singing to talking at one of my shows is like 50-50, because there's a lot of like, I'm pretty self-deprecating. I love to make people laugh. That's as important as making them feel, well, feelings, like sad feelings. It's important to have that release. And I tell a lot of these stories. There's a few that I haven't told yet because I haven't performed songs like I Want to Mean It or The Only Way Out. I haven't sang those in front of people yet. So I'm kind of, you know, working through that stuff and hoping that I can tell the stories without totally falling apart.
Do you think it sounds like a cliche, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you
Okay.
think it heals you
Yeah,
and people listening to the song and identifying with it?
I think so. I think it does. I know it does. I've had people tell me it does. And that's a big part of it too. Like there's nothing else that I was supposed to do. I'm doing exactly what I was supposed to do. And it's because of these reasons. It's because it heals. And there are times when I'm on stage and I feel like a preacher. And it's like I'm I'm giving permission to feel, I'm giving permission to let go because I'm doing it with you.
How many? I have never seen so many singles come from one album. Light of the Moon, How I Learned to Live Alone, Don't Waste Your Love on Me, Just Let Me Lie to You, Over and Over, and Wandering River.
Mm.
Were you waiting? Were you waiting for acceptance? What were you? What was the plan?
So so this is like a new thing, right? Like I'm trying to adapt to the music industry, and so the idea was to try a release strategy that sort of works with the streaming services, like streaming platforms. And I'm not. It was an experiment that my publicist and I came up with. We thought, let's try this and see how this works. I'm not sure that it's the best strategy that's ever been,
But it
but
worked well.
yeah, I'm happy that I was able to give songs a little bit of solo attention, just a little bit.
I'm looking at a press release saying the album Boundless Possibilities receives 3 nominations for 2024 Western Canadian Music Awards. It's on the Indigenous Music Countdown, the CBC top 20. I don't see anything on the CKUA top 30 here yet on the press release. We're gonna
Is
have,
it? I don't know if
I don't know. We're gonna have to work on that.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
I'll do that. Okay.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
hand you that number one.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
It's a good room for you.
I like the King Eddie a lot.
You know, the CKUA studio is right behind you. You
Oh
could,
yeah, I've been, yep, I've recorded shows there before.
it'd just be nice if we could, do a telecast, podcast.
That would be cool.
Hinton, Saturday, July the 20th, Wild Mountain Music Festival. July 25 through 28, the Calgary Folk Festival.
Mhm.
Now, have you been there before?
Yeah, we did that one in 2019, I believe. Yeah, so fun. Love that festival. It's incredible.
It's a great mix.
Yeah.
You'll have friends there,
Oh, tons, tons. Yeah,
tons and tons.
I have to behave when I'm there.
July 30th, Lethbridge, Wide Skies Music Festival.
Hmm.
And then one that just jumps right out, Saturday, August the 10th, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, the Folk Harbor Festival. Woo! Have you been there?
I have been to Halifax a couple of times, but yeah, this will be my first festival in Lunenburg. And then we're also playing in Margarettsville a couple days prior to that. And it was supposed to have a few more dates, but as a woman who does everything herself, I decided to let myself have some time on the East Coast. So it's gonna be pretty chill. And I'm really actually this summer in general is pretty chill, and I'm excited about that.
Do you miss talking into a microphone at CKUA?
You know, there were times that it was difficult because I did a lot of shows during like lockdown time. So I was doing it from home. And that's such a different, the energy is so different. It's so much harder to like muster up the energy when you know that it's not live. That changed it for me. But I do miss sharing like new finds because, and also that made me look up more music all the time too. So I had a lot more,
Yes.
yes, music coming at me. Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if you heard tunes go by and you thought I like going that direction. That's nice.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like lots of so many things to pull like new influences from. And yeah, I know. I do miss like having my finger to the pulse. That's for sure. Yeah.
And you know, we're fighting for our lives. We're trying to raise $3 million.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah. And how's that going?
So, well, we're 2/3 of the way there. It's the last
Amazing.
meal that's the hard part.
Yeah.
We got to get there. The spring fundraiser was incredible. Um, your place in this business. Have you got a sense of that?
I feel like I've learned some of my strong points. Um, I don't know if I have a sense of what my place is in the business. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that I've been an entrepreneur since I was, I don't even know how old. You know, I've been working for myself for years. I've been creating opportunities. Um, I think that as time goes on and, you know, touring becomes less fun and hotel beds are, you know, less enticing. Um, I think I'll always just come up with something new to do. Maybe it's radio, maybe it's working with younger artists. I have so much that I've learned over the years.
Maybe it's a book.
Maybe it's a book.
Maybe it's a play.
Honestly, maybe it's a fashion line. Like I
Ah,
love clothes. I really want to write like a cocktail book. Like I love the craft of cocktails and I love the community too. So yeah, there's a lot. I have lots of things I want to do.
you got time,
Yeah, I know. I do.
and you're the one pulling the strings.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I just have to get the energy and the momentum going. That's what I need to do.
This album, this album, it might change everything. We might be talking to a wall because this may be lifted up and you may be carried and transported. For example, when I first interviewed William Prince,
Hmm.
I remember quite emphatically him saying, I couldn't get anybody to listen to me. I kept writing songs and showcasing. Nobody would listen. They wouldn't return my phone calls or emails or whatever. And then somebody did.
Mm.
He just 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, posted himself a shot of himself in the center stage spotlight, the follow spot at Albert Hall in London. What a journey.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying anything's possible for Boundless Possibilities. Anything.
Thank you. Yeah.
In motion. Now we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And that I'm here to do the thing that I'm supposed to do. I'm here for the ride, you know. I'm excited about the future. And I do believe in boundless possibilities for everybody. We can do whatever we want.
Speaking of everybody, uh, you have no way of knowing how you affect audiences, singular people, young women like yourself,
Mm.
that you may save their lives. You don't know until they tell you or you read about it or whatever. Do you think about such things because you become in your way a role model?
Yeah. And I think when I was younger, I definitely didn't want to hear that role model title. But the other thing that's happened is over the last few years is really I've really started talking openly about like depression and anxiety. When I was a young mom, I I used to feel so tired all the time and I felt like I was a terrible mother because I didn't have what I felt like was the energy to do things. And you know, I realized that I have been living with depression for so long, unmedicated, just surviving, you know. So now I talk about it and I've talked about being on medication and I've had people send me messages about, you know, how they have always thought about going on medication but didn't, it felt so weak. So like just the conversations that I have alone about mental illness just on social media platforms, that's enough for me to feel like I'm making somewhat of a difference.
What's the one song on Boundless Possibilities that backs that up, that thought process?
I think it's Every Day.
Okay.
Every Day is a song definitely about grief. But it's also about like healing. It's about that feeling when you start to feel guilty because you're moving on and you're not sad all the time anymore. And it feels like you're letting somebody go. But it's about letting go and moving forward with your life and still holding space for this person in their memory and like holding on to them forever. Mm-hmm. But allowing yourself to have joy.
And last thing, I'll let you go. There has been a resurgence, a true movement in the Indigenous music community. It's remarkable. I'm absolutely thrilled that I get to watch it unfold. How does it feel from your perspective?
I mean, it's amazing. I'm 43 and I've been doing this for like 19 years or something like that. And when I was younger and I was booking gigs, I would often get people, like I'd show up with my like cheap classical guitar and sing sad girl folk songs. And people were expecting me to show up with a hand drum because my last name was Cardinal. And so I had to learn to actually vet the people who were trying to book me for gigs and make sure that they knew what I was doing and what I was. And now there's a whole different understanding that Indigenous people are multi-dimensional people, and we don't all just sing traditional music. And there is still a little bit of that, but the change that's happened is amazing. And it just makes my life easier generally when it comes to like booking myself. But it's so like, I grew up with a lot of internalized shame because of like the circumstances of where I came from. But I see the youth these days who are so bold and so proud of who they are. And it is inspiring, like beyond measure. And so the youth are inspiring me to like become a more empowered version of myself. And it's amazing. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Filmmakers especially, they're just showing the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll put the dates on the website, and we're going to follow this road of yours, and we'll play the music, and we'll say, hey, we know her. More fretless stuff, okay? If they want to do another, do it.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I think they call me again.
I'll see you at the Calgary Folk Festival, and we just love it. Congratulations on all the awards that are coming your way. Just wave and say hi.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And thank you. Enjoy the ride.
I am.
Celeigh Cardinal, Terrydavidmulligan, Mulligan Stew. The album is Boundless Possibilities. It's out now. My name is Terrydavidmulligan. This is Mulligan Stew, CKUA Radio, donor supported, about to celebrate 100 years on air and online and on the app and whatever. It's a big deal. Wow. I have an artist that exemplifies that kind of attitude towards music, that whoever is sitting in the chair is a specialist in what they're playing, whether it's blues or jazz or whatever. Lake Street Dive is a band that can play all of those things, and they choose to play them all. Nobody's going to tell them what they're just going to make the music that they hear in their head. I hope I was correct there, Bridget Kearney.
That's very true. Thank you.
I mean, you could have been I thought, and when I did my research, my first time I talked to Mike, I thought you were going to just be a jazz ensemble. Did that not feel right, or did you feel that the various members had to have a way to express themselves, and that's how the music came to be?
Yeah, it's been a long journey to sort of what we've become and what we are now, and like who knows what will be on the next album. But we're kind of constantly just following our nose to like what is inspiring to us at the time, and as we sort of consume, ingest more music into our lives, as seeing shows, listening to albums, and that kind of finds its way into our creative output as well.
Um, you did you start on bass, or were you on another instrument and just discovered bass?
I played piano first from like 5 or so, and then picked up the bass at age 10, fourth grade orchestra.
And of course, I have to ask you, who's your favorite Beatle? Did you have one?
I mean, Paul. Gotta be Paul, but I also love Ringo a lot.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I love them all.
We were any of these tunes we're about to talk about part of the COVID lockdown?
On Good Together, the Lake Street Dive record?
Yeah.
No, these were all written in the last year.
Wow. So it had come and gone. Everybody had gone through it. When you and I love the fact that this is one of the first times, if not the first time, that you have all written together collectively in a song circle.
Yeah, that was a big change and a big sort of experiment on this record. We've been a band for almost 20 years now, coming up on 20 years. And it's taken us that long to say like, hey, what if we sat in a room together and like wrote songs together? In the past, it had always been either just one person kind of writing the whole song and bringing it into the band, or sometimes it would be one person writing half of the song and then sending it to another member and asking them to like complete it. But even in that version, it was always like passed back and forth rather than like sitting in a room working on it together. So yeah, this was a brand new process for us, and I think definitely led us to some brand new places.
It could backfire. I mean, it didn't, but with other groups, it could backfire horribly.
Right.
Because as you know,
I
these
mean,
songs are your babies.
That's the chance you take, and that's like the sort of risk of continuing to challenge yourself to do new things. But I think for us, it's always worth it to like take a chance on those things and try to rise to the occasion, because otherwise you're just kind of stuck in a feedback loop of doing it the same way each time.
What was the democracy? You have 2 songs that you wrote for the album, right?
I think there's 2 that are sort of under my name, and then there's a bunch that are
Dance with a Stranger, and I've got Party on the Roof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 25, I guess, as well.
25 as well. See, I didn't get that info. That's good. I love 25.
Oh, thank you.
Record. Love that. I'm going to play the hell out of that record.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much.
So when you come in, is the song fully formed? Did you have them formed? Did you demo them and play them, or what did you do?
If it's a song that I've written on my own, then I'll usually demo the whole thing out, all the parts, because that's kind of part of my writing process too, is like, as I'm continuing to think about maybe what I want the third verse to be, or what I want the bridge to say, then I'll just like start putting in a drum beat, start putting in a bass part, and like let my sort of subconscious like live in that world for a little bit musically while I'm like writing the rest of the song.
But you can't be possessive of it. If somebody has a great idea, you have to be open to it at least, right?
100%. Yeah, it's always like, here's a version of the song, here's like what got me to write the song, but it's open for change.
So how much did Dance with a Stranger change?
Dance with a Stranger, like the form changed a little bit. I think we added that solo section in the middle. There's a synth solo, and the groove was the same, the tempo's the same, the bass line's the same, all the chords, lyrics, that stuff's all stayed in place. But then everybody puts their own stamp on it. I can only do like a meager impression of like, here's the direction I want the drum beat to go. You know, I'm not capable of playing like Mike Calabrese. I'm certainly not capable of singing like Rachel Price. So, you know, I'm able to give them an impression of what I'm after, and then they really bring it to life.
Sure. Sure. You have friends. You can
Yes,
call on
yes.
friends. Yes. I love the note that the idea you walked into a square dance and danced with a stranger, and then walked out and had a thought about the process and the light. And you did, was it the line dance with a stranger?
I think so. Yeah. I was doing a little songwriting retreat up in Kingston, New York, a small town north of New York City on the Hudson River. And a friend of mine told me that there's this weekly honky tonk square dance at the VFW hall there, and that it was a really cool scene and great band, but then also that it kind of like draws in this diverse community of like people from the city, people from the country, like all ages. And so, yeah, I went there, and like, it was so beautiful the way that like these different communities were coming together. And it was like not clicky or sceney at all. It was just like everyone was welcome to invite whoever they want out on the dance floor, spin you around, say, hi, nice to meet you, what's your name, whatever. And so, yeah, it made me like not only appreciative of that particular scene, but kind of made me appreciate the version of that happens at our concerts. And so like I wanted to have a song that like we could play and invite people to do the same thing.
I had the thought this morning. I thought, wait until they get on stage with this and they get everybody to sing the chorus back to them and dance the dance.
Yes, yes.
You're going to have such fun with that.
We haven't gotten to perform the song live yet, and I can't wait. I can't wait to like make that a moment with the crowd.
Okay, this is Dance with a Stranger, as written by our guest, Bridget Kearney, from Lake Street Dive. Here you go. Mulligan Stew, CKUA Radio. Bridget Kearney is my guest. She is the bassist, the co-founder, voice, everything, leader of Lake Street Dive, who have a new album out June 21 called, well, I'll let you tell them.
It's called Good Together, which is also the name of the first single. The first song on the record is called Good Together.
Let's talk about that single because it cooks. It's absolutely fantastic. It is solid. It's tight. It's wonderful. And it proves the point, and I love this, that you can get people to listen to thoughts and ideas and directions and points that you want to make if you can get them to dance at the same time.
Hey, that's a very good
much
point.
easier to get the message through. And so I want to ask you about the message in Good Together.
Well, I guess in the song, it's kind of the idea that like a new love or a new person that comes into your life can kind of make you want to become a better version of yourself, you know, that you can kind of lift each other up, and you know, whatever you did in the past, whoever you were, you can say like, wow, this person and like our togetherness is making me just want to be good and want to do like fun, cute things together, eat popcorn, go to the movies, you know, like you know, or on a grander scale, like to do good things for the world, or you know, it's just like, yeah, sometimes you find those relationships, be it like a romance or a friendship or just somebody that comes into your life that makes you want to be good.
Thank you. All right. Thinking about Good Together, did you, I'm seeing a trend, I'm doing a lot of interviews, there's a lot of music coming up, artists that have decided to actually record live off the floor in the same room, playing at the same time, and sometimes even with the horn section in, like the whole 9 yards, right? You either put yourself totally in, or you make it in a traditional sense. Which way did you go?
For this track is kind of a mix, because yeah, the band track is all live, the bass, guitar, keys, drums, percussion. And then the vocals, I think Rachel and Aki did theirs together because it's a duet. Yeah. And so they were in the same room, same time, tracking together, but not while the playing was going on. And then the horns were also later.
Love the horns. I'm a horn guy. I love the horns. Love them.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super stoked to have this great horn section on this record. The Hunter Tones is what they go by as their own ensemble, and then they kind of like jump on board other bands.
Bridget, I put a star beside Get Around. Tell me about that track.
Well, okay, so for the most part on this record, like we're calling it a joyful rebellion. And so the idea being that like there's plenty in the world that we and other people have to be like scared of or worried about or sad about, angry about, but like instead of fighting fire with fire on this record, we're kind of like trying to fight fire with joy, so we're bringing an invitation to everyone to come into the party and to the dance and just like be together. And I guess like coming with that, we didn't want to be fully like disengaging from like reality and truth and hardship, so Get Around is kind of a moment where it's like just allows us to express some kind of like frustration. It's a very fierce track. That's where like emotionally we get to just like kind of be like expressing ourselves.
Well, it set me free.
Good.
Oh, that's another effort.
Yeah.
Set me free. and live, it'll kill. It'll just kill.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I want to mention you're now on Fantasy Records. What does that represent? Lake Street Dive on Fantasy Records.
Well, we knew a couple artists that were on Fantasy that we really liked. Allison Russell and Devin Gilfillian. And then also just the leadership at that label right now was some people we really connected to. Margie is the head of the label, and then Steph is our main representative, and they just came in and like, we're really stoked about the band being the band and kind of like helping us do our thing.
Well, and Allison Russell, of course, is from these parts.
Yes.
Like her a lot.
She's so great.
And the Good Together tour is including 3 Canadian dates. Thank you. Have you got your passports in order?
Yes, thankfully we do.
June 27th, the Ottawa Jazz Festival. Yeah. And then June the 28th, the Toronto Jazz Festival, sold out in brackets. And
wow.
And you keep going. So a couple of jazz festivals that kick off. So you are in fact in the jazz world. Although jazz festivals have changed, haven't they? Totally. Very open.
Yeah.
And August the 1st, you're in Vancouver at the Orpheum Theater.
All right.
Summer in Vancouver. Well done. And a long tour. You just keep going. Do you get to Boston?
We are getting to Boston later in the year.
Not on this tour.
Well, we're doing a festival, Levitate Festival, which is in July. Yep. Yeah, and that's where we all went to school together. So it's always a nice homecoming.
I put a star. By the way, this is fantastic that Lake Street Dive had new music. For me, it excites me because I love this band. I love what they do. I love what they stand for. Do you now collectively, do you ever talk about who it is that is attracted to what you guys do and put out and say, and why? What's the attraction? Or is it best not to even question that?
I mean, I don't think we really know specifically, but it's one thing I notice about our audiences, just like from looking out from stage, is that it's more multi-generational than some other shows that I go to. Like a lot of times we'll see families there that say to us like, oh, I'm here with my teenage daughter and my parent, like 3 generations of a family could be like at the show together, and they're like, this is something that we share, that we can enjoy together. So that's one really cool thing about our audience. And beyond that, I think it's like people who like to dance and also like to have like something to think about in addition to that. We try to give that spectrum.
That's good. This is all good. I want to ask you about 25. Was it your co-write or did you bring it in yourself?
This is one that I wrote, but it was during our band writing sessions. Like we were kind of just doing a little brainstorming about like what you might write a song about. And so Rachel said, I think it'd be cool if there was a song that was about a relationship that's in the past, that's over, but it's not like a breakup song in the traditional sense where it's sort of like, oh, you broke my heart. It's more like, here are the beautiful things that we shared together that I'll always have, even though this relationship was kind of like not built to last. That's like in the song that you're like, okay, you live in California, I live in Boston, like you're an introvert, I'm an extrovert, like it's never going to work, but we like still had this beautiful time together and loved each other, and that's amazing.
In order for that to work, you both have to be grown up. You know that.
Yeah, it's not every relationship that works that way, but we certainly all have had them.
Does this come from? Never mind. 25. 25. When you brought it in, did you tell them what it was about, or did they know what it was about, and this was your version of the conversation?
Yes. Well, so Rachel had given that kind of prompt. What if there's a breakup song that's more of like a positive reflection on like the things that you gave each other? And so then I like went back to the hotel that night and wrote some lyrics out, and then woke up in the morning before I went into the studio and kind of demoed it out for them. And they were like, great, mission accomplished, you did it. And actually I think I came in only with like verse 1 and the chorus, and then was like, what should we do with verse 2? And again, Rachel was like, what if there was something like specific in verse 2 that's like something that you got from the relationship, like maybe this person like taught you Spanish, or maybe they introduced you to Fellini films or something. It's like there are always these things.
Or maybe you'll always be in love, you'll always be friends, which is an incredible gift if it happens. Just doesn't.
Yeah.
You teach songwriting. Yeah,
I do.
Although there are people who in this business, who say you can't teach songwriting. You either have it or you don't. That's not true, because there's a there's things that you have to have. You made a comment about Hemingway's one true sentence. When he was asked how he wrote his novels, he said you start with one true sentence and work out from there. You do the same thing?
I try to do that. Yeah, that is something that I think about. And like for songwriting, I don't necessarily think it needs to be so literal with like sentence, but I think you need to start with some like kernel of truth. And so like that song 25, it's like Rachel threw the idea at me, but I sort of went into my own personal history and was like, who do I feel this way about? Let me start with that feeling, that like truth. And then, let it spiral out from there. And sometimes it can turn into fiction eventually. Sometimes there's like a better version of the story than what actually happened. So that's allowed too. Yeah, I definitely always try to start with like something that feels true to me.
Okay, here we go. One more track I want to ask you about, and we'll stay on that thought. Party on the Roof. The Art of Songwriting, and the one true sentence. Was there one there for you? And does it pay homage, if I can, to Up on the Roof, the Carole King, Jerry Goffin song that Drifters had years and years and years ago? And when she sang it in concert, when she first started, she used to say, this is my song about Tar Beach, being up on the roof in New York City, like you did.
So yes, I live here in Brooklyn and I love my roof. It's a great place to hang out. It's a great escape from, if you're apartment living, then it's usually pretty small area that you're hanging out with. So you go upstairs and it feels all of a sudden expansive and you can see the whole city around you.
You can hear the noises.
Hear all the noises. And yeah, so there's a line, the third verse goes, I love my old building on the corner of the park. watch the city from the fire escape, see it glimmer in the dark. I hear church bells in the morning, call to prayer in the afternoon. And like that's true. You know, and specifically that part about the sounds of the city and the way they represent its like diversity and sort of all of us living together in the same place, I think is like so beautiful.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. I'm fascinated by songwriting and conversations about songwriting, but not overthinking it, because you can overthink it. First, Dylan's first comment when asked, when he first started, where did the songs come from? He said, I don't know. He didn't know. He had no idea. So do you deal with that in your songwriting teaching?
You know, the students, in a way that's very inspiring to me, they don't seem to have a hard time writing songs. Like, and they are doing so my students are not music majors. They're like from all different departments of the
Sure.
school, and they're like deep in their astrophysics textbooks all week, and yet they manage to write a song a week, which is like, I don't write a song every week. Like, that's amazing to me. They're writing more than I am amidst everything else that they have going on in their lives. And so I think there is something, a door that gets closed sometimes where people get intimidated by the act of writing a song, when in fact, like, we're all expressing ourselves with words in a way that's genuine and profound, like, every day. So that's kind of like the angle that I take with my students and try to continually see with myself too, is just like, we definitely all have something to say, you know, so it's just a matter of putting a melody and some chords with it.
It's revealing to them, it is, to talk to you, but it's also revealing to you to hear maybe the future. Maybe somebody, one of those students, you go, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to follow where you go. This is good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they're so inspiring.
Okay, a couple of quick things. Your current solo album, Comeback Kid, came out in April. Are you going to tour? You are touring it, aren't you?
Yes. Well, so
When
I
you have
guess
time.
when this comes out, I will have done the tour, but yeah, maybe I can just talk past tense.
Yeah, we toured. Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, even now I can say I've done some shows with the new record, and the way I've been doing it is using local bands wherever I'm touring. So I've amassed this like amazing network of musicians over the years that I've gotten to know from touring with Lake Street Dive and playing festivals. You know, you meet people backstage and you get to see them play their thing. And then like with touring this record, it's been an opportunity to like call up a bunch of those people who I've admired watching them play from afar, and get them to play in my band.
Are the fundies still a thing?
The fundies will rise again. The fundies are in a dormant stage right now, but we're definitely coming back. That's me, Rachel Price, Margaret Glaspie, and Brittany Haas. Made an EP back in the day that's kind of like a folky folk songs, fun folk songs, I'd say. And I love playing with those.
You're playing Red Rocks. They're playing the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, the Greek Theater in Berkeley, where Elvis.
Yeah.
You're playing Canada. You're going to be playing Madison freaking Square freaking Garden. What the
Woo,
hell?
let's go.
Don't rush this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's been on my bucket list for a long time, and it's a legendary venue, and it's also like this is where I live, so I've gotten to see so many shows there myself. I've seen Billy Joel, Anderson .Paak, Haim, you know, the Knicks. So like, yeah, it's really, really cool that we're going to do a show there.
What's the future? These are tough questions. What's the future look like for you and the band, and just going forward, say 5 years down the road?
Yeah, well, we're on a steady, you know, 20-year trajectory that we hope will just kind of keep doing what it's been doing. You know, we're gonna like keep making more records, keep like challenging ourselves to find different ways of collaborating and, you know, different avenues that we can go down, different feelings that we can express as we continue to sort of like grow as humans, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, more of that. And you know, if the future looked a lot like it does right now, then we'd all be very happy.
Okay, because the future looks dark at times. And I forgot to mention the word joy, because you guys are using the word joy in talking about how you attack life, how you deal with life. Don't let it beat you up. Take your joy and move with it. You can find it in the songs, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think our drummer, Mike Calabrese, said it well when he said, we take our joy seriously. Like it's important to maintain that as your life force, to sort of like keep you walking down what can be a challenging road sometimes, you know, take that joy seriously.
I'm going to run out of time here. A couple of things. The Lake Street Dive website is?
LakeStreetDive.com.
Now, how do people stay in touch with you and all of the various projects that you're doing? Which one, because there's like 6 or 7 different websites, including Bandcamp. Which one would you send them to follow Bridget Kearney?
I think I would go to Instagram, Bridget Kearney Music at Instagram. That's kind of, I'm pretty regularly like posting on there saying this is what I'm doing this week. This is what's happening next week, you know, so that's a good place to keep in touch.
Bridget Kearney, but it's spelled Kearney, like the other Kearney. Kearney. Thank you for your time, and thank you for this music. This is fantastic. I'm pulling for you guys. Do you still hold the record for the foamies?
As far as I know, and I'm probably not going to go digging around to see
the foam fingers at is it Fenway Park?
Yes. Best job I ever had, selling foam fingers at Fenway Park. And my job's pretty good right now, but that was the best job.
Was it for one game from beginning to end?
Well, I sold for 3 summers, but there was one game from beginning to end in which I sold 105 foam fingers. And that was at the time the record.
And I know that most of them would buy them and just take them from the exchange of cash. Did you have to talk somebody in? Did you threaten anybody? Because you could break a record?
Yeah, I put a big foam finger on my hand and I said, "You are going down." Yeah.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Nice talking with you.
See you in Vancouver. Bye.
All right.